I tried to cut my siblings out of a black market chicken business. Not as bad as it sounds. True story. One of these days, PETA's going to come after me, and I'm going to be like, PETA, it's never as bad as it sounds if you listen to the full video. My brother in second grade, again, St. Joseph Academy, greatest school ever, they hatched chickens in his class. They had incubated them, birthed them, the whole 9 yards, and my brother wanted to bring 7 or 8 chickens home, like a rooster and 7 hens or whatever. My mom is like, we have to do it. You know, mama's baby, he's going to get his way. My dad is like, there's no way in hell I'm letting these chickens in my garage, because at the time, my dad's garage was his workout space, his workbench space. Like, my dad's utility area is the garage. So these baby chickens are in our garage for about 3 days. My dad takes a week off work, goes to the hardware store, builds an entire chicken coop in 3 days, and then hooks it up to our shitty farm truck that he bought for $500, tows it down the hill, and puts it on cinder blocks, and the coop has formed. Never mess with a man in his garage. That's the first part of this story. With that being said, my brother's in 3rd or 4th grade by the time these chickens are hatching eggs. My sister would have been in middle school, 5th or 6th. I would have been late middle school, early high school. I notice once they started hatching all these eggs, my brother's selling them for $5 to $10 a dozen. And I'm like, that's a lot of eggs. And I start looking around. I'm like, he's selling to the whole neighborhood, thanks to my mom and dad kind of helping him get his little connections and have him bike over there and sell. And, you know, he was an adorable little kid with a lisp. You know, people loved him. And I start going, well, there's a business opportunity here. And I mean, we're, you know, especially being in a middle schooler at the time, I'm like, that's a couple $100 a week. That's a new pair of basketball shoes or whatever. Like, we could start to really put some money behind this. Like, this is a hustle. I need to get in on this. So I talked to my brother. I'm like, hey, listen, like, I'm older. I got all the business skills. How about you and I come to an agreement? You know, I'll help you pick the eggs out and you maintain the coop and I'll be your salesman. And he, of course, trusting his older brother, he's like, yeah, I'm in. And my sister's like, well, I want to be in. And we're like, yeah, you know, you can help with the eggs. Wayne will maintain the chickens. You take care of the eggs and I'll just be the salesman. I'll be your business front. I'll take care of you guys. I write up a contract, a 3-way contract for me and my siblings. So I type up this whole contract. We're 3-way partners, but at the end of the day, I have all the say. Being the oldest, being the most experienced in these type of endeavors, I'll take the business over, and I have final say in all decisions. And I put in a very small, I wrote this contract out by myself, and I put in very tiny font at the bottom, but I control all, I have final say in all business decisions and discussions, arguments, whatever, you know. As a businessman, I need to control this business of chicken eggs. I breach the contract. I fire both my siblings. And I'm telling you, to this day, still remember it. I take my brother out in the garage, and I'm like, buddy, I'm going to fire you, and I'm taking the chickens. And then my sister, who we just talked about this on our way back from our road trip today, my sister said, I heard you fire Wade in the garage. And I was like, oh, I knew my days were numbered. I was so nervous. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm next. And I'm dying laughing about that now. But at the time, most fucked up thing I've ever done. Like, my brother is devastated. Then I go inside. I look my sister dead in the face. I'm like, Brooke, I need to sit down and have a talk with you. I sit my sister down in the dining room. I tell her, hey, I got to fire you. You know, this money, it's not enough for all 3 of us. I need the money. I'm going to be going into high school. I need the chicken egg money for my own endeavors. Sorry. They're devastated. They're both crying. They run to my mom and dad. And this is the best part. My dad goes, well, what your brother did was wrong, but you did sign the contract. Me and my sister were just talking about that. Like, my dad taught us so many good lessons that, like, the principle of signing the contract. You're done. And then my mom gets involved, and she's like, how could you cut your siblings out of your brother's own chickens that he raised by hand from birth? And I'm like, you're right. Like, it's wrong. So I ended up reneging on the whole thing. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, that was really messed up. And honestly, like, is it funny now? Yeah. But, like, you look back on that, and it's like, that was really messed up. Like, I think that probably played a pretty significant role in why my siblings weren't as close with me as we got older in high school and early college. Is like, that was fucked up. And I did a couple things like that growing up to my siblings. And I'm not saying that I totally buy into all the books about, like, the things that happened to you as a child affect the way that you live your life later on as an adult. But, like, for me, you know, that probably was crushing to them. Like, to this day, like, when we talk about that, like, I'm like, I felt horrible that I did that. Like, that was a horrible thing to do. I just wasn't thinking that way, you know, at 14, 15 years old. Now that I'm 26, I'm like, I love you guys to death. Like, I would never do something to you guys like that. Like, that's so awful that I did that. Like, what a little piece of shit I was. But in the same breath, I was just a kid thinking like, oh, that's more money for me. My siblings, they're still my siblings' chickens. I just want the money. But again, that doesn't justify it. And that's one thing, like, I have done things like that in my life that you're like, oh, I'm really not proud of me. Like, why did I do that? What possessed me to do that type of stuff? But in the grand scheme of things, for me, I'm thankful that that type of stuff happened. Because, like, to this day, like I said, I'll always remember how crushed my siblings were. So now it's like, if I ever am able to make it big with the podcasting, social media, movie script stuff, that first check is going to the people that helped me get there, right? That first call, that first invite to be a part of a script or a big time podcast or whatever I get this stuff to turn into, because I don't know myself. It's God's plan. I really enjoy telling stories. I like doing the social media podcasting. I really like script writing. I don't know where it's going to lead. You don't know what opportunity is going to come from it. But I do know when I get to a point where I have some serious resources or monetary value or whatever it is that God allows me to do with this, I'm going to offer all that to the people that I love. I'm offering it to my family, and then that list of friends that have ever been a part of this, that have ever helped me with a story, that have ever helped me with anything, they're getting those phone calls and offers. Because to me, even if you turn it down, like if I make it big and you turn down, like you don't want to work with me, like you just don't, it's not your thing, you have other career endeavors in life, dreams that you want to chase, no offense taken, that's fine. But I'm still going to offer it to you. Because even if you don't consider yourself a friend of mine now, you help me in some way become the person that I am. And I look at that for all my friends from high school to college. I'm at least going to offer you, like, hey, let's try to do this together. Like, hey, I got to a certain point. I can pay you. Let's do this together. Like, because you mean something to me. Like, you're a significant person in my life. And I just think that's what I'll always go back to. It's like, that is what's really important, is finding the right team of people. Because, like, and I had this conversation with a couple of my buddies recently, is like, it's really hard to shoulder the weight of being, happy-go-lucky, positivity. Like, that's, as much as that sounds like, oh, he's a bubbling idiot who's just happy all the time. Like, that's a choice. Like, it's a choice to wake up and be like, I'm going to have a good day. And when you learn that, how important your mindset and your thought pattern is on a day-to-day basis and what that can lead to over time and the habits that you kind of master as your day-to-day life, like, it's important to have people that support that. It's one thing to joke around, especially guys. Like, we all joke around and bust each other's balls. Like, that's just the nature of a friendship with your good friends who are, especially, like I said, especially guys, you bash each other as a joke. But if you asked me about any of the friends that I bashed to their face as a joke, if you asked me about them outside of that, I would tell you, he's the best fucking dude I've ever met. That guy right there, amazing fucking dude. You need to meet him. He'll change your life. He's that dude. And I would say that about all my family members, all my friends that I consider my friends, like people who have had that type of impact on my life. You're going to know that. Not to their face, I'll be like, you're an asshole or whatever it is. Like, I'm going to razz them and joke around, and they're going to do the same to me. Like, that's just the way that certain people show love. And that, to me, that's a true friendship. If you can joke around like that to each other's face, but when you need to lock in and have a serious conversation or say something genuine about somebody, you have that gear to go to. And I feel that way about the group of people that I feel that way about. And that's why, like, that's the whole reason I do this. Like, those people aren't going to be around forever. I've had a lot recently going on with my grandparents. Like, you just kind of hit that reality point. Like, they're not going to be around forever. So let's make the most of every single day that you're here. And I'm not saying that I've mastered that. There's times where I will go away and be distant. But the other part of that is, if I'm working on something or I don't feel like I'm taking care of the things that I need to take care of, and then I push all of it off to go try to hang out and do something I don't really want to do, I'm not going to be the friend or the person that you enjoy being around because I've got other things on my plate that I know I need to be taken care of. Like, there is a balance of both. Like, yes, go see your friends, go be with your family, but also live your life. Do the things that fulfill you and make you happy and make you feel whole. Like, you have to have a balance of both. And that's why, for me, I was like, if there's an opportunity for me to do a podcast or a movie with my friends and family, we need to do that. Like, and that's why, in a way, it's kind of beautiful the way that things have started to play out for me, because it's like I am getting close to having an opportunity to produce a film with my friends and family. But the most important part about that is, do you want to be involved? Like, I'm going to offer that to my friends and family. And what's beautiful, for me at least, is the fact that, like, this is my career path that I love. Now I'm going to find out who really wants to be a part of it. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be your friend or I'm not going to love you if you don't want to be a part of my career path. It doesn't offend me. But in the same breath, it's like you either get to be a player or you get to sit on the sideline. You just realize as you get older, like you're going to have a lot of really great friends in high school and college. That relationship might change as life goes on. But Snoop Dogg's actually the one that said this. It sounds kind of corny, but it's one of the most amazing quotes I've ever heard. It's like,
as you grow, you lose certain homies because it's called closing the gap. This is the gap when we start. This is the gap as you grow. Notice how you grow and they don't. So how do you close the gap? You got to come back down. When you come back down, you lose. So you got to keep going up. That's why closing the gap got to be them catching up to you.
If you're really trying to do what you're meant to do in this life, because nobody really knows, like it's life, it's confusing, it's topsy-turvy, there's storms, there's ups and downs. You don't know how it's all going to play out. But what you do know is you know who's in your corner, and you know the people that are really there and support you and believe in you as time goes on, because it just shows over time. It's overwhelmingly obvious if you take a step back and you just like, oh, I need to focus in and grind for a little bit, you'll start to see who's really there for you. Like I've basically taken 2 months off because I've had some family stuff going on, and I decided that I really need to lock in on my social media and my podcasting and my movie script writing and these opportunities that are kind of being put in front of me. There's certain friends that have continued to stay in touch and continued to be like, hey, you good? Like, hey, I'm here for you. Whatever you need from me. Like, that's the type of friend that I want in a business setting. That's the type of friend that I want to work with. That's the type of friend I want to build something with. So I think it's just really important as you get older to evaluate those things. Because, like, my friends that don't want to be a part of it, it doesn't mean that we're not friends. It just means that we're not going to hang out every single day. We're not going to work together. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that they're not a good person or there wasn't a positive part of their relationship in your life. But you have to figure out the difference between those two things. Like, who's your real ride or die? Is like, hey, you're going to be there with me. We're going to do some cool shit together. Like, we're going to build a company together. Like, we're going to make movies together. Like, that shit gets me juiced up. You got to find the people that get juiced up with you. Because back to that Snoop Dogg quote, it's not a knock on anybody. But there is a difference between a true, genuine friend that would lay their life down for you and do anything to help you versus a friend that you're just going to hang out with and drink every once in a while with on the weekends. Like, those are two different things. And it's not a negative to not be like that with every single person in the world. It's impossible. But you do need to find out who those people are. Like, who really is your team? Who is the gang of guys or gang of people? I shouldn't say guys because that would be sexist. Social media life. But point being is just the people who are really going to be there for you and ride with you. Like, I know my family's going to rock with me. That's why I always stick with my family. And then I've got the friends that I look at like family. And when I do produce a film, we're going to find out who those people are that are willing to, hey, let's sacrifice a few weekends and let's make a movie together. Because that's what we're trying to do here. That's what I've been trying to do for the last 3 years. So now that the opportunity's there and is real, you get to see who's really about that action. And to me, that's exciting. Like, I'm excited to see who those people are going to be. Sure, it might hurt if it's a good friend who's like, hey, I just don't want to do that. Sure, that might hurt a little bit, but at the end of the day, I get it. Life changes. The things we talked about in college might be totally different now that we're 26, 27 years old, getting ready to kind of, pick the way that our lives are going to go or our lives are starting to shape up. Like, you just never know how it's all going to shake out. But at the end of the day, for me, circling all that back to the chicken story, I will never not offer any type of benefit, resource, or position to somebody who helped me out and I still consider a significant person in my life. I will always offer it to them before I offer it to somebody else, even if they don't want it, even if they don't want to be around me, even if they don't want to be friends with me. If I look at you as a friend, you will always be my friend. And the people who are my friends, they know that. And that's just something that I think is so important. And I know I harp on it all the time. But find the people who are really there for you, really have your best interests in mind. They truly support you, and you do the same, or you would do the same for them. That's really important in life, in my opinion. And I would have never been able to learn that at this age if I didn't screw my siblings over on a black market chicken business. So, Brooke and Wayne, I love you. I'm sorry that I turned my business on you guys. That was really wrong. But it taught me a valuable life lesson. So that's today's episode. I hope everybody's well, and we'll be back with more soon. Talk to the time.
Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more. I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get easier? shots by the lake till I can't